Hey, what's up, Jess?
You there?
Yeah,
How are you?
good. How are you? Can you see me? Hello. Can you
Hi.
can you see me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got the internet running, which is good.
Oh man, yeah, it's good. It's been like a whole week without internet. I feel like my whole life is like it sounds so first world problems, but I
Yeah.
feel like my whole world was like crashing. I was like, oh no.
Are you-
But yeah, how are
I'm good. I'm
you?
good. I'm
How's
good.
things in the gym? How's training?
Yeah,
All the
good.
things.
Yeah, good. I've got the day off today. Well, I'm gonna head back in a little bit later. So, yeah, just at home. So we finally, got this organized after trying to, catch each other for the past couple of weeks. I
I know. Oh man, hashtag life, right? Crazy.
don't know. It's been really busy on both of our ends, especially your end. Setting up the gym. Is that where you are now? Behind you?
I am at the gym. You can see the that's exposed. um, Amazing. Yeah.
Are you on your phone or the laptop?
Oh,
Because it'd be great if you could take me for a tour of
ah,
it. That'd be cool.
sure. Yeah, I'm on my laptop
Ah,
today.
okay.
Let's see. So let's start from the front. First, we have our new guard dog, which is like she's not guard at all. She's very sweet. This is Chili. Say hello. Oh, hey. Very excited. Yeah. So from the front desk on the side, a bunch of kind of different cardio machines. This front room is basically all kind of different, like assault bikes, ski ergs, a rope flex. We've got the runners, so the treadmill basically propel yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no motor. And then we've got some rowing machine here. We've got a Jacob's ladder in the corner, which is really fun. We've got like my new favorite kind of torture tool, which is basically a farmer carry treadmill.
Oh wow.
Which is, yeah, it's super cool. Like it makes it a bit more obviously like safer yeah. And then this is where we got this massive leg press. And then into the kind of the big main room, we've got 5 squat racks down that side. We've got the infrared sauna down the back, which you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got like a little area of mats where we've got all the things in the corner, kettlebells, dead balls, dumbbells, stall bars, and then some like obviously lots of greenery. As you can, well, maybe you can't see very well from the top, but we do have 2 deadlift platforms coming and a power squat, which is kind of like a pendulum squat, and
Mm-hmm.
then a cable crossover machine as well. So that's being shipped from the so that's ages. So that's
Damn,
okay.
that is crazy.
Yeah.
You've got it all decked out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's obviously been a long work in progress, but kudos and credit to you. Like that looks so good. The next thing now is get it running, and I'll have to jump in and train.
Yeah, you have to come down for sure. Like we're so
Where
we
is
just
it?
got
Collingwood?
the software pretty much. Oh, it's wicked. I love it.
Oh, sorry, I just got cut off a bit there, Jess. What was that? I missed that bit.
Oh, it's just on. So it's just near. I think if I get closer to the Wi-Fi, it's just near New Balance. So it's literally like just on
On Smith.
Smith Street towards.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's literally not too far at all. Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
congratulations to you,
yeah.
Jess.
Really enjoying.
I know you've been working on that for a while, and yeah, it's all to come together. And I know there was a lot of like blood and sweat in that one. So yeah, pretty stressful times, eh?
And it's starting a business is like it's like everything that can go not according to plan does. Like it's crazy,
Mm.
but it's good. I'm learning a lot because I don't know anything about business really. So learning as I go.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's really good to
Yeah.
see. Yeah, no, it's just really good to see, how this has made you grown, since departing Fifth Element, doing your own thing, it just forces, it's just a new challenge and it forces you to grow, you know what I mean? And you either, yeah, so it's really good.
Yeah, you definitely don't have a choice. When you're starting a business, it's kind of like
It's true.
fall or fly. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I look up to you guys, especially like yourself and Jordan and everyone else, they just picked it up another level, after Fifth Element, just like boom, just picking it up. Ben
Well, look,
obviously as well.
oh yeah, well Ben, his company's blowing up in Australia, which is awesome. It's just like sometimes it's one of those things where you don't really have a choice. You're either, you're thrown into the deep end and you just learn to survive, you just kind of adapt and grow and change as you need to, and try and keep your head above water as you
True.
do that, because it's, like I said, it can be very stressful and can be pretty
Yeah.
full on someday. Obviously, yeah, having the big picture in mind makes it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. My internet's just dropping off a little. It might be my internet, it might not be yours. Don't worry. I think yours is fine. I think it's more so my end. So I'm trying to stay as close to the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is just like right here. But still, it
I
seems
know
to be
that's
really
what I'm trying to
terrible.
be like with as well.
I know, me too. But yeah, it just seems like everyone at Fifth Element, I don't know, there's just something about like the, I don't know, the drive, the learning, the experience that we all go through. It seems to propel and excel us all forwards. So, I'm quite lucky to say, being there has helped us, given
Oh,
us a stepping stone,
definitely. Yeah, 100%. I mean, without like Dave has been probably the biggest pivoting person in my life in terms of health and wellness, and growing my passion for what I do now. Like,
Yeah,
so yeah, like I mean, they're building little health and wellness soldiers, you could say.
absolutely. Yeah, we've got some new staff as well. We've just recruited um, three new PTs. So like we're growing heaps big.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we just hired 2 level 1s and we hired 1 level 3.
Wow. I mean, I do check on the Instagram page from time to time, and I always see new faces. I'm like, man, I'm
Yeah.
like just blowing up, which is awesome, because I know you guys are making a difference, so that's cool.
Yeah, and reception's growing as well, and we've got a new like yoga manager as well, so who looks after all the studios and growing the classes and stuff. So
Cool.
yeah, it's all happening. But yeah, on my end,
Amazing.
some pretty exciting stuff. I'm going to Sydney with some other coaches to do the Paul Check course. I know that you've done that before with Andy and Anth.
Oh, awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah, the check course. So that's the holistic living one. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. We do that this weekend.
All right. Yeah, that's on my list as well. Oh, cool. Like I was for some reason, it just keep popping up in my life and just really resonating. And I'm like, all right, I need to start that. So that's like a long journey, right? All of this stuff. So that's on my goal this year. But as soon as we slow down a little bit.
How did you find the course when you did it?
Oh, no, I haven't done it yet. So I haven't done any Paul Check stuff yet.
Oh.
But I've like read his how to move, eat, and be healthy. I've only really done I've done a ton of the Poliquin stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I've done like those are the main things I did when I was at Fifth Element. But I like Andy's the one who's actually inspired me to want to do the Paul Check stuff. And then I've just like listened to Paul on podcasts and read his books, and I'm like, dude, this guy's pretty brilliant.
Yeah,
So,
he is.
and I know like his philosophy and stuff just really resonates with what I want to do, and how I want to run my clients and my business. So, need to get on it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I look forward to it as well. And yeah, it will be interesting. I got to get onto reading the book actually. We're doing it on Friday, and I still haven't read the book yet. So maybe I'll read it on the plane, or maybe I'll read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it from one of the trainers and read it.
I think it's a pretty easy read.
It is,
It's like pretty like big bold, and it's not going to be like probably a whole lot of stuff you haven't maybe heard before,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think I'll be okay. I flicked through Anthony's book. Yeah, it looks pretty good. He loves that. That's like his Bible. He carries that like everywhere with him.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's the best.
All right.
Amazing.
So yeah, today's chat's just gonna be about just really, um, like your background, like what you've been doing, how you got to where you are, and what you've been up to. Maybe talk a little bit about like the Better Health Project, and I just want to talk about like
Sure.
women's topic, like a women's kind of topic, and talk about what kind of issues you see with women, their
Sure.
training, what stresses they have, what kind of nutrition and lifestyle, and maybe what's best to direct them. So that's kind of going to be the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yep, and that's pretty much it. So we can go as deep as we want. Yeah, we can make it as complicated as we want, as scientific as we can, or we can keep it as pretty
Yeah, yeah,
basic.
cool.
So go nuts, go nuts.
Yeah.
Just if you get passionate
Okay,
and you
okay.
want to go off on a tangent, like Dave tends to do,
Yeah, like down rabbit holes. Yeah,
down rabbit holes,
good.
you just go ahead and do it. So yeah, all good. All right, so just you want to start off by talking about your origin story, like how did you first start becoming a PT, and yeah, how did it all start?
Well, I've always been into sports. I've like growing up played basketball and volleyball and golf and soccer and basically was pretty lucky to be like athletically gifted. So everything I kind of picked up, I was good at. So I've always been, quote unquote healthy and into having an active lifestyle and stuff like that. And I've always really enjoyed working with people. So I started kind of coaching soccer when I was probably 13 or 14. Like they had this program that we could come in and we could work with some younger kids and obviously with supervised adults. But I just really loved it. I enjoyed, working with them and their energy levels and, being able to help people and stuff like that. And basically from that moment, I knew I kind of always wanted to be in the industry of helping people because that was what I was passionate about. And so I basically have coached my whole life, like in all different sports,
Mm-hmm.
and then I obviously played soccer as well and played
You
soccer through my university.
played here
Back, no, I did, yeah. So I played, originally played in the States. I played for my university for 6 years back in North Dakota. And from that, I basically took up a degree in physical education and coaching and health and well-being. So I got a few different minors in there. But education is the same thing as personal training, right? You're still working with people, you're teaching them things. And that's obviously what I'm all about. So from there, I basically came to Australia the last summer before my last year of school and played soccer. And I just loved it. I love the people. I love the sports. I love the coffee, the food, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I decided when I graduated, I wanted to come back. So from there, I basically decided to come back and play. I played for South Melbourne for a few years. I did a stint at Victory for a season. And then, I basically injured my knee and I couldn't really, I was really hating the sport because it was just like every time I played, I was so sore and it was so painful that I decided to quit because I wasn't loving it anymore, but I wanted to stay and continue to help people. So that's where basically I got a job at Fifth Element and it just flourished from there. They really taught me about what health and wellness really is. Obviously, growing up, I could get away with having peanut butter and honey sandwiches on whole grain bread, thinking that was healthy.
Exactly.
And it wasn't until I was at Fifth Element that I really kind of learned about what, true health is and like the paleo diet and gut health and hormones and all of that stuff. So, basically from there and then turned my Achilles, as you know, twice. So the first time being in January 2016 and then re-rupturing it 4 weeks later, which was the worst and best thing that happened to me. But it really made me reevaluate my life and think about balance. And, I was preaching balance to people, but I didn't really feel like I had very good balance. And it just made me have a whole kind of paradigm shift. I was like, took a lot of reflection. It took 8 months of bed rest, lots of tears, lots of, angriness, lots of anxiety, like stuff I've never had really.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful for it because I came out and, I'm obviously, I think a wiser person and a stronger person. And I have a better kind of aspect on what my view of health and wellness is and how I deal with myself and my clients. So, yeah.
And so now you're carrying that forward and you've created your own little system and you've created your own little environment. You want to tell me a little bit about that now?
Sure. So we are about a week away from opening the Better Health Project, which is this new space basically in Collingwood, Melbourne. And the idea behind it was to create something that was welcoming and a safe place that people feel comfortable coming into, because I think the gym can be very intimidating and very scary for people who aren't comfortable in the gym. Have a good community feel. And we tried to take the best aspects from like all the best parts of gyms, right? So, a 24-hour gym, the best part of it is 24 hours. The best part of like a CrossFit gym is they've got classes and groups and community. And then like something like, for example, the best part of Fifth Element is like they have this premium service that's awesome, and it takes the clients to the next level. So we basically picked out all the little aspects of that we like. So the 24-hourness, we do group classes and community, like different events. And then obviously having the option of if you want to do blood work or, stool testing or nutrition or whatever, like that's an option that's on top of it. So what we've created is kind of like a level system. So if you just want to come in and be a 24-hour member, come in please as you go, like not a big deal, like you can do that. If you want something a bit more tailored, a bit more programmed, you can, get a program from me, or you can join the group classes, because those are always kind of tailored to having a goal, like a 4-week or 6-week goal. Or if you want something more, if you want to get a bit more in depth and have a macro plan or your blood's read or whatever, you can do that, but you don't have to. So making health like a premium service that's at basically an affordable price. So that's that's the aim. And we it kind of snowballed. My partner was like, we should start a gym, and I was like, okay. And then we found a space, and now it's here. It's crazy.
now it's 1 week from opening. It's so surreal. Hey.
Oh, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely come by and visit when it's up and running. So yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be really cool. Yeah. All right, how's this internet going? Is it a bit glitching? Are you there? Can you hear me? Yeah.
No, mine's good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool. I thought it was a bit glitchy. All right, cool. Awesome. So, so with training now, obviously you've been working as a PT and a coach. With your clientele at the moment, who are they majority of the time? What kind of things are you experiencing with them, with their issues? Is it more the physical? Is it more the mental? Is it more the sleep, the stress?
All of it. My majority of my clientele is what I call kind of average fit. So the general population of people, I have a few kind of high level athletes, but they're the minority. But I actually have a lot of, probably about 70% women, 30% men, just because of maybe the demographic or the area, not sure. And maybe because I'm a female trainer, women feel maybe more comfortable. But yeah, I mean, I take the approach, right, when I sit down with someone is like, if we can kind of get the core values and the basics to 80%, then like everything else will fall into place. So the core basics being, are you moving every day? Are you training the right way? Are you putting good foods into your body the majority of the time? Or, are you getting good sleep? Are you managing your stress? And like, what's your toxic load like? So those are kind of my 5, I call them pillars, I guess. And so look, it's basis, like different person, like every time, obviously no one's going to be 2 cases the same, but usually it's one of those kind of like either they don't move enough, they don't eat right, or they don't get enough sleep, or there'll be a combination of a few. So talking about, I guess, like women per se is a lot of the people I deal with is it's very mental and emotional. Obviously, like I think as women we have a bit like more of a double standard in terms of what we feel like we need to look like, or what social media portrays us to need to look like. And that's, I think, obviously because we put that on ourselves. But I do a lot of kind of like deep seated conversations and, kind of finding out like, not that I'm a therapist or a psychologist or anything, but trying to figure out, maybe why we have some of these values. And where this has come from is because when I was injured and things like that, I did a ton of self-development to understand the roots of, why I had negative self-talk and why I wasn't happy with the way that my clothes fit or the number of the scales or whatever. And so from my kind of development, I've I think I've kind of learned and grown and evolved past that. And now I can see that in my clients that they all need the same help as well. Like, you know, we're all human beings. I'm not saying you have to love yourself and we all think we're perfect, et cetera. But, you know, waking up, I used to remember like waking up in the morning and like grabbing my stomach and being like, ew. Like, and not like, it was just second nature. It's just what I would like think to myself, which is crazy. But I think it's like, it's so easy to be in that like negative snowball, you know, you can just like, it like thrives off it. So like once you say one thing, then that's your kind of precedent for the day is like every time you walk past like a window, you go, oh, like pull your shoulders back or, you know, like whatever it is. And so a lot of stuff I do is dealing with that negative self-talk and that self-love, I guess, and self-imagery that, well, even males need to work on. I'm not saying males don't have that issue, but it's a bit more prevalent, or maybe women are a bit more open about it, usually.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously something we face commonly with women, and their perception of training and how they should look, the way they should be eating and things like that. So I think, you know, providing a lot of value in education and understanding, and having some kind of positivity or gratitude kind of element will really start to go a long way. Yeah, absolutely. So what are some your top 3 tips if you could give like a generic person without knowing their background? What kind of like basic things would you work on? Some 3 basic tips that you can kind of give the general population. Let's say women. Let's say we're talking about women here. So let's continue talking about them if they're, you know, professional worker, you know, just general pop.
For women, sorry, you cut out a little bit. Did you say for women, generally?
Yeah, for women, in general population. No real specific training. You did mention food, you did mention move, you did mention sleep. But you wanna elaborate a little bit more and be a little bit more specific. Not specifically to an individual because we don't know their background, but just I mean, like I'm a big believer in like from a food perspective, because I think food's probably one of the 2 biggest components, right? Like I think food and sleep. I think sleep is number 1. Like I always tell people, there's a guy who fasted for 382 days and like just on water, and he survived. Yes, he was about 400 pounds, but all good. Where like the longest person that's gone without sleep is like 18 days. So obviously like sleep is something that I think is terribly undervalued. And so I always kind of try and address sleep first, especially because I think even Western medicine, they say if you go 2 days of less than 7 hours of sleep, you're technically sleep deprived. So that's how many people do we know? And I'm sure you know as clients that, you know, are getting like that 5-6 hours. So I guess the 3 kind of tips I would definitely do one on sleep. So what I suggest to people, especially if they're like maybe really stressed, really busy, just like shut down the screen time if you can, like an hour, 2 hours ideally, but at least an hour before bedtime. So whether that means you go for a walk, you read, you do something kind of yin based. So cuddle with your partner, I don't know, like whatever, but shut off all screens just so your brain can kind of switch off and slow down. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the first big one. Second one, we'll have to do food. So I always recommend to people like, you know, just eat like things from the ground, eat whole foods. If you eat majority of whole foods, doesn't matter per se so much about what the macronutrient breakdown is, but, you know, eat a variety. I always say eat like a vegetarian, like eat meat, but eat, you know, we don't eat enough vegetables. So eat 3 to 5 different colored, seasonal, green, all the good stuff. That would be the second thing. And then I guess the third, I kind of bounce between 2, depending on if someone's really sedentary. I just talk about how important I think walking is, because I think walking's super underrated. And, you know, like daily walks help to like regulate your blood sugar, your circadian rhythms. Like, you know, there's so many benefits of walking that people don't really, they think, oh, it's just a walk, I'm not really doing much. Well, it's it's meditative as well, so it can be quite calming and relaxing. And, you know, if you want to talk about HRV and, you know, the heart rate variability stuff, you know what I mean, for someone who's a little bit bigger, they could, you know, just simply walking can simply improve that.
100%. So that I would kind of bounce between that one, and then I've been doing a lot of reading and self-development stuff around vulnerability and just like the emotion of love. So, you know, like I think community and love and all that stuff has such an impact on people. Like, you know, the words worst thing you feel is like if you go home and if you feel alone, or if you feel like you have no one that supports you, like that is the worst feeling in the world, right? So, you know, we just got a dog and my oxytocin is through the roof. So I'm feeling very, very good. But I think it can be lackluster if you don't have something that makes you happy, or, you know, let's say you have to love everything you do, but if you don't have something in your life that brings you joy, like, you know, what are you living for? What's your passion? So, yeah.
And what Jess is explaining, there's something called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotropic factor there. So that's what she's really just keeping as a real basic. But it just means, doing something that brings joy, really, and a sense of community or togetherness.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like, so with all this work I've done around learning about vulnerability, I guess, is like really kind of shaping my coaching style. And I mean, I'm a very empathetic person and coach, and I'm very close to a lot of my clients, and that's just the person I am and how I run myself and my clients. But, you know, like how people open up to us as trainers, right? Like sometimes I kind of feel like we play that, I don't know, psychologist role a little bit. They come to us and they tell us things that they can't tell their partner, or they can't tell anyone else in their life. And because we're kind of that third party, you know, in their life, that they can open up, which is awesome. You know, it creates that connection. So, you know, whenever clients try and, you know, open up to me, I just try and really feel what they feel. Like, I'm an empathetic crier. So when someone like cries, like I'm a mess, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm crying. Like, I feel bad, you know? So I think that's important, just because I think, you know, it is hard for people to open up, especially if they're not fully comfortable, you don't have that trust. And when they do open up, you need to make sure, like, yeah, it's okay. Like, I've been there too. I've had days that are not good. I've eaten Uber Eats for a week. Like, you know, like we've all had areas and times of our life that we're not perfect, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably something that, you know, it's important to know that we're all human, and you know, sometimes we do make mistakes and we are vulnerable at times as well. But awesome. Thanks for sharing, Jess. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about some of the more. Just let me drop the mic there. That was close. You can see that. That was close. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about you know, the issues with women that they're suffering at the moment. Things like you know, hormone imbalances and you know, not so much fertility, but menstrual cycles and things like that. In your mind, in your opinion, why does that happen, and what are the main hormones like we should be focusing on for women? Like, is it you know, out of the big three, you know, which one should we be more looking into?
Well, I think like part of the reason that women sorry, let me start that right. So I explain it to women, like when they have like issues with their menstrual cycle, or if it's painful or missing or whatever, like we have this system in our body that is like an extra system that males don't have, that tells us when something up the chain isn't working, right? So, you know, whatever issues you have around it generally means something up the chain in your body, whether it's stress or food or, you know, a parasite or whatever, like is causing the body stress. And that's your menstrual cycle is what's gonna go a bit haywire, because we don't need to reproduce, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, that's always the basic that I help. Because sometimes, like, I remember when I got my rod put in my arm, for example, like ages ago, before I would call myself healthy. And I was like, yes, no period. This is amazing. You know? And so I understand. It's natural. It's meant to happen. Healthy bodies to continue on with it have to have it. I'm actually reading a few good books on how men and women kind of differ, especially a hormonal and like a brain perspective. So talking about like the women's brains, for example, right? They say men's are generally like 8 to 10% bigger, but women tend to have more brain cells in like the prefrontal cortex. So it's like obviously what they call like your executive part of your brain. So it's like the decision-making part of your brain, right?
Yes.
So you know, this controls for us women intuition, self-control, empathy, collaboration, and then the last one is a little bit of worry, they say. So, and as like it's very general, right? Not all women are that way, but I think as women, we tend to try and multitask and take on more than we can handle and do it all. Like I always think I can do it all, right? And sometimes like it doesn't feel like it's stress, but at the end of the day, the body recognizes all stress the same. So whether it comes from getting angry at the person in front of you driving slow, or rupturing your Achilles, or eating the wrong foods, doesn't matter. The body recognizes it all the same. So if we're taking on 1 million things at a time, right? Like your body's going, oh snap, like we need to slow down a little bit, right? This is over stressing. And it's really easy for everything to get out of balance and go, all right, well, we're really, really stressed and really full on at the moment. We don't need to reproduce. So it stops, or it's painful, or whatever. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Kind of?
Absolutely. Yeah. So how I like to explain it to my clients is that it's the attention seeking hormone. You know what I mean? Like it's attention seeking factor. So when your body's stressed, it's not going to prioritize things like you're having a baby, or being fertile and things like that, because it's always like the attention seeking one. So like it's never gonna it's never gonna prioritize that first. And you're right. Yeah. So the body can
100%. And sorry.
Yeah. So the body can go with So the body can go without. It can go without having a baby.
Forever and ever.
Exactly.
And I guess like some of the main like hormones, right? Like obviously like but like estrogen, progesterone, like those are kind of obviously DHEA and stuff like that. Those are like the main ones, right? So obviously we talk about the pregnenolone steal, which is if your body is producing way too much cortisol, if you're way too stressed, you're not going to produce the DHEA hormone, which is like your youth hormone, which is the precursor to all these awesome sex hormones that we need.
Yeah. Cool.
So like obviously, like you said, it takes precedence in the body. So we need to survive. We want to survive. We're going to do everything we can to survive.
Exactly.
So we're stressed. Our bodies think we're running from a tiger all the time. Yeah. We're not going to be producing those hormones. Sorry. And I just lost my train of thought. But so I see a lot of ladies, to be honest. I've got a lot of like kind of middle-aged like ladies. And they come to me with infertility issues, like menopause, like kind of these like hitting that like maybe like 40s, mid 40s slump where they're have like kept on putting on weight, can't do all the things they used to be able to do when they were 30 and stuff like that. Like, the body just starts to break down. That's pretty natural. But we definitely like what the main things we focus on. Like I don't generally try and like help people through the aspect of any kind of like bioidentical hormone therapy. Not that can't be used. And there is people out there who are way better at using that and explaining it than I am. But we always try and look upstream first, right? So, I mean, there's always a reason that something in the body isn't working. So we just got to figure out what that trigger is. And, because like, as like the body just doesn't magically happen. Something always, there's always a reason. So Exactly. It's my job, obviously to come in and be like, all right, like, is it your thyroid, or is it stress, or is it this, or is it that, or, is it inner city living, like stuff like that. And it can, especially for women, I think it's really important because it can be very psychological or social connection or like spiritual health. Like if those three things as well are out, like the biology of us ladies and men as well, but of us ladies especially goes a bit to crap.
Yeah, definitely. So just, so those three things, definitely stress is the main thing, taking the main point from that, affects everything from your sleep to your nutrition to just, to everything else, your blood pressure, blood sugar management, all these things.
Everything
pretty much. Well,
so I always try to explain to people, right? Like when I talk about my Achilles rupture, it took me doing it twice to understand that I like didn't slow down. Like I ruptured my Achilles the first time and I was like, yes, I can study, I can read, I can get super nerdy, I can do all these things. And then when I re-ruptured it, it was actually Dave who said to me, he gave me almost a bit of a lecture. Like he was like kind of apologetic, but he was like, have you turned the TV on? Have you relaxed? Like, and I was like, I don't even own a TV. Like, no, like, what do you mean? And so he's like, all right, for the next month, he's like, don't do any studying. Don't open like any like nerdy book. Just, watch Game of Thrones, Orange is the New Black. So I just did. I just binge watched.
Really?
Yeah, I binge watched TV. Yeah, well, he just reckons that my body was still in that go, go, go mode. That
Dave
it's
said
still,
that?
like,
I've never heard him say this, anything like that.
yeah. He's
Really?
like, don't do anything. He's like, you need to relax. You need to, he's like, you need to do some meditation maybe, but he's like, your body's still in that hyper vigilant mode that you actually can't heal, which is definitely probably part of it. So basically I spent the next month, it was really weird at first because I was like, all right, this is me. I feel like I was like wasting away. I was like, this is like so unproductive.
I know, right?
But it took probably about 2 weeks. And then what happened is I started sleeping like 16 to 18 hours. Like I was just like, it was like my body, I took this huge exhale. Oh, 100%. And so I think that's as well, like part of the reason, like when I sit down with people, like, the body's very smart. And if you continue to break it down, like you're either going to get a disease or you're going to get an injury. And so that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. Cause I'm like, I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. Like as much as it was life-changing, like it sucked. So, so that's Dave definitely told me to just like chill out, binge watch TV, hang.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think it's so important that we're doing more of that. Cause us us trainers, that's one thing I'm starting to notice now as a early coach coming up. I notice how much you guys were working, how much work you put in, and now I'm in that state now, and now like I have no downtime now, and now it's like study, work, create content, it's go, and now I'm caught in that loop now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and it's hard because like when you're so passionate about what you do and you're like, oh my God, I'm helping people, I'm changing lives, like it's like kind of hard to sit back and go, am I feeding the main thing, which is me? Like, and some people I think, like I used to think it was really selfish, like, and it is, and that's totally good, right? Like we need to be a little bit selfish because if I'm not 100%, I can't help my clients to be 100% or, get better. So it is hard though. It's very hard finding the balance in the training life, especially when it's so, I think you're quite similar, like you're very passionate and you're, like you really want to help people and you're super into your clients and like to give everything to people. It's such a giving occupation, like to sit back. I mean, I'm like mentally drained some days because I'm like, I'm ready for bed.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And not only do we, work long days, long hours, we do extracurricular stuff as well. We train, we take different classes, I'm doing dance right now, and I'm doing things like
I've seen that. I'm so envious. That's amazing.
Was it dance, tennis? You know what I mean? I think I'm like biting more than I can chew. So I'm like taking on so much. So that's a really good story that you're sharing there, and that really resonates with me because I could probably do more stuff like that. Even though I'm doing yin class twice a week, I probably don't think it's enough still.
No, definitely not. I know people are like, sometimes I go for, I do 10-minute meditation on a Saturday, and I'm like, well, probably not balancing out with the rest of your life.
Definitely not. Definitely not. All right, Jess, we'll probably leave it there. So thank you so much for sharing your story and everything else. I really appreciate it. If people want to find you, the Better Health Project will be opening up in 1 week. I'll put the links and the details in the description. What about social handles? Where can people find you on social or any other platforms?
Yep, so Instagram and Facebook, Better Health with Jess. And then I do have like a blog, betterhealthwithjess.weebly.com. Cool. And that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Jess. We'll wrap it up there. And it was fun chatting with you. I'll catch you again in a couple of weeks when you're all settled.
Come down for sure. It'll be really good. We've got I think we're gonna put in some rings. Like we did Spartan on the weekend, and I was just like, I'm obsessed. I've already signed up for the Sydney one in a month to compete. Cause I'm like, yes, like this is. I'd like the fire in my belly. I haven't had that since I ruptured my Achilles, and I was just like, this is amazing.
And I don't think we've ever trained together, so
Because you started pretty much like a month before I got injured, and then I was injured, and
I think it was during January when you had your first injury, is when I officially like kind of settled in, started getting onto the floor.
Sure.
So, but we'll catch up and we'll train together. We'll do all that. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Lucas.
All right, Jess.
Bye.
All right, see you soon. Bye.